What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another Sunday discussion video. Obviously, at this moment in time, I am away enjoying KCON LA. Actually, now that this is probably getting published, 9 p.m. Eastern time, I'm probably just walking into the concert on Sunday night, in all honesty. But because this is Tuesday and I can record this video beforehand, that's what I'm doing. So today, because I think it's fitting, I'm just going to kind of talk about my thoughts and opinions on whether KCON itself as a convention and a concert is worth all of the money that it costs. And it's a really kind of a difficult sort of thing to answer because, of course, whatever you value out of the concert experience or the convention experience versus what I value, what any other person values is very, very, very different, of course. So what I think is probably going to be very much different from whatever you think, and that's just going to be the way that it is. And you know, I'm just kind of I guess inspired and motivated by this, by people who are saying that, like, you know, who complain about, like, I spent all this money for this diamond package for the, you know, the diamond level, you know, seats and whatever stuff last year, and I didn't get my value out of that, and all this other sort of stuff. And it's something that I don't necessarily agree with, but at the same time I do. And here's the reason for that, is like going into KCON as a convention and a thing is like you kind of have to understand what you're going to be getting out of it, or what you can expect. Because you have to, you know, remember that compared to like literally any other K-pop concert tour that hits North America, this thing is like massive mega scale and is going to be run, and the experience is going to be very, 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 very different from like my experience of going to see Hyuna in Chicago. I'm not going to get to see anything like Hyuna or have an interaction level or whatever the experience was when I went to go see her in Chicago as I'm going to when I go to KCON. It's just the fact of the just sheer volume of people and fans and just the scale of the event. And people's prime complaints are the fact that the fan interactions, high touch, all that kind of stuff is kind of just not worth the money. And you know, if you're paying the money for those high touch, you know, interactions, you have to know that it really is just a lineup and high five and then you're done. That's all it is. You don't necessarily get the opportunity to interact. In fact, I know somebody last year who is a huge, huge, huge fan of Zion T, and she does has done a large and stunning and absolutely amazing amount of art for him. And she got a high touch with him, and she brought some of her art that she was going to give to him at the high touch. And, you know, KCON staff was really just going to like shoo her away before she actually got the opportunity to hand that piece off to him. But because Zion T's a cool dude and he was like, give that to me. So she was able to actually like pass off her artwork. Otherwise, if he hadn't actually like asserted himself into that situation to like take that art from her, then she would have missed that opportunity and probably would have been a little bit more upset about that whole interaction than she was. But it's just the nature of the event. I mean, you know, the smaller the event, the smaller the scale of the concert and all that stuff that you're going to be, you know, taking or participating in and all that stuff, then the more familiar, the more close, the much more, you know, intimate of a connection and whatever it is, or bond or whatever you want to call it, that you can experience from anything like that. KCON, you're going to get very much, in my opinion, a really, really, really great concert experience. It's not going to be a very extensive set list from any of the groups. It's going to be a very, very, very awesome sampler. You're going to get some really, really cool, you know, special stages that they put out for you, and, you know, participation from other groups. Like last year for some of the stuff, for a couple of the songs, I think maybe it was most of the songs that Turbo performed last year. I think it was Turbo, that, you know, Astro and I think IOI came out, or, you know, some of Astro, I can't remember what the girl group was. It might have been somebody, or maybe it was G-Friend. I don't know specifically, but they participated in that stage as well as, you know, some of the extra dancers and all that stuff on stage. It was great. It was fun. There was lots of fun and, you know, cool collaborations like that happen at the KCON concert. And of course, it is a massive, massive stadium concert as well. So that experience is going to be very much different, of course, from seeing a a concert for a K-pop group or performer at a smaller venue like my experience was with Hyuna in Chicago, because that was very much more intimate and interactive with her on stage, bringing people up onto the stage to play some games with her and do all kinds of other fun stuff like that. And it was ultimately a very, very enjoyable experience. Obviously, you're not going to get that from KCON. So if you're paying $800 trillion, if you're just going to empty out your life savings, throw away your 401k, do whatever it is that you want to do, so you can drop $1,500 or whatever the super ultra platinum diamond, your firstborn's blood, whatever the name of that package is that they've got this year, so that you can get a behind the scenes tour of whatever it is that they're giving you a behind the scenes tour of. You get access to like every single high touch that there is out there, so you can high five every idol that is going to be performing. You're going to get whatever your very ultimate ultra front row seats are. If that's something that's valuable to you, if you want to do all that, then like spend all your money, spend it 100%, do it. But if you don't, if you just want to go there for the convention and the concert isn't necessarily something that you particularly care about, or you want to go to the concert but you just don't necessarily care about the high touch stuff, of course you've always got the different options that you want. So for me personally, I think that KCON is very, very much worth going and attending and spending however much money that you want. Honestly, and the reason that I think that is because I spend the money that I spend purely so that I can go to the convention, have an excuse to go on a vacation out to Los Angeles for a week, and also get some pretty decent seats for the concert. I don't care about the high touch events. In fact, I very likely, if I don't give away my interaction cards and stuff like that, I potentially will throw them away. If I get anything, I probably won't, but if I do, it's very likely that I will not actually use them. So I don't care about that. I go to the convention to experience the convention, go to panels, hear cool stuff, hear people talk and, hear what they've got to say. And of course, just in general, be surrounded by the K-pop community, because that was the thing that really, really struck me the first time that I went to KCON back in 2014. And I went to KCON back in 2014, I think it was 2014, purely because Girls' Generation was going to be there. And I was like, how can I possibly pass up the opportunity to see one of the biggest groups in K-pop, live in concert for however long that they were going to be there. So that's my, opinion. If I didn't necessarily care about the seats that I was going to get at the concert, I very much would just be like, you know what, screw it, $50, we're going to do P5, $50, I get a bag with some coupons in it as my swag bag, and we're going to be sitting up at the top of Staples Center. I can sit there, enjoy the blasting music and just in general the atmosphere of being in a K-pop concert in a huge arena like Staples Center and the Prudential Center is, and that's also definitely very, very valid. Or if you just don't even care about the concert at all, you could just buy convention tickets. You can go to the convention, and then afterwards you can go with all your friends out to Koreatown and do stuff. Or you could do LA things afterwards as well. There's always a possibility. Or also New York things too, because we're also including New York in this. So it kind of depends on what exactly it is that you want to get out of it. Because in all honesty, it's a lot of money. You got to kind of think about it and think about what the experience is going to be. Even if you had no idea that the fan interactions or the high touch events were not going to be as interactive as you thought that they were going to be, you probably should have, because you probably should have taken a minute to sit down and think and understand that this is a big event. They've got a much larger amount of people who are going to be going through those lines compared to a smaller show in Chicago or wherever. Whereas instead of like maybe 100, at one of these smaller shows, they'll have a couple hundred or however many that they have put out there. They got to deal with the crowds quickly and effectively just to keep the entire event moving. Whether they do that effectively or not is a completely different discussion, but it's definitely something that you need to keep in mind when you kind of consider the bonus perks that you're going to get with buying your seat for the concert, right? You're gonna kind of have to keep that in mind. So that's really all that I got. Ultimately, right, I think personally that KCON is really, really great. It's a completely, totally different and opposite vibe and experience from going to a small show. or a meet and greet thing, or whatever they're called whenever they show up here. It's a completely different experience. It's 100% worth whatever money that you choose to spend on it just for being there in general. And I don't know. I mean, every year that I go, I personally get a lot out of it, and I have a lot of fun with the convention, despite the fact that I go by myself and I don't know anybody who's there. So, me personally, as the lone wolf at KCON every year, I enjoy the shit out of it. And I think that you guys will too, if of course you choose to spend the money. Because like I said, I think it's worth it. So what are your opinions? Have you been to KCON, LA, New York, Japan, this Saudi Arabia, one in Europe? I think they're having one in Australia now too, coming up towards the end of the year. Mexico even. If you've been to any of the KCONs anywhere in the entire Milky Way, or the galaxy, let me know what your experience has been. Talk about it. Tell me what you think is what was great about it, what wasn't great about it. If you think it's valuable, what you're going to do next time. What did you learn about the entire experience this year, if it was your first time, or even if you've been to every single KCON since they've started, with the first one in KCON LA back in 2012, I think it was, something like that. If you've been to every single one, what have you learned, right? What should other people take into consideration and know beforehand before they show up to KCON? Because I'll tell you, the first thing I learned when I went to KCON the first time was like, if you want to get your tickets, you want to get your stuff, bro, you better show up early. If you don't show up early, you're going to be standing in line forever. The first year I went to KCON, I literally, and this was at the Memorial Sports Arena or whatever, where they're going to be building the new stadium for LAFC, I believe it is. The Coliseum, all that stuff down in that whole complex by USC. I spent literally the first half of the day that I was there standing outside in line waiting to get my tickets. So just keep that in mind. When you're standing in line to get your tickets, you're going to be standing there for a long time. The lines will not move particularly quickly because it's a convention and they seem to change up how they do things every single year. So they have no opportunity to get good at doing and whatever their process is. And, it's chaos, it's disaster, it's poorly managed, in all honesty, in my opinion. But it is what it is. So take that into consideration and, do that. So that's why when I go to KCON this year, or when I've gone to KCON every other year and they've had the pre-check-in or whatever, I've flown in, I've left Louisville at 6 a.m. I land in San Bernardino in Orange County, not San Bernardino, woo, that's way too far away, in Orange County, LAX, whatever you want, whatever airport around there, at 10 a.m. And then I go straight down to Staples Center, stand in line. Last year I stood in line until, 6 p.m., so I got stuck in rush hour traffic as I was going to where I was staying. It was fun. It was great, but their lines suck. But that's also the reason why I spent that day, is basically travel, fly in the morning, stand in line at Staples Center in the afternoon, profit afterwards. I don't know. We go to dinner with my family, basically, is what we do on that day. And that's that. So something to keep in mind for you. That's something that I've learned. Share what you guys learned and stuff like that down in the comments below. Let's just talk about KCON, your experiences, what you think is if you think is worth it or not. Drop all that stuff down in the comments below. And we'll be back next Sunday, as always, with another one of these discussion videos to talk about a topic or something like that, just to, hopefully spur some interesting discussion. So if you want to join this community here that we're trying to build, that is all about having a little bit of friendly and respectful discussion about our thoughts and opinions around Korean music, whether we agree or disagree, then click on the subscribe button down below. You can join that community and stay updated with everything that we're talking about in the future. And also, if you want to kind of take the discussion off YouTube over to places like Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, then I do have accounts on there. Please do follow me if you would like. If you don't, that's fine too. It's perfectly fine. YouTube is just good for following and discussing. But if you want to take a little step further, then you can follow me on there. Just search ROK Music Review, and you can follow me that way. I've also got links to those profiles in the description box below. So that's going to be it for this discussion video. Like I said, we'll be back on Sunday to talk about something different. And until then, I guess I will see you next time. So thank you everyone for watching. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time.